let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays.
Go for gold and bet risk-free on the new season with Betway. Use the golden booking code found on the Betway site to bet on selected match week and get 100% back as a free bet on any losses. You always get more with Betway. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
City 97.3 Accra.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
From number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin at Abraka in Accra, this is Richard Delasky with Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM tonight. I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
Coming up, Education Minister Dr. Yao Educhum's crucial trip to the flood-hit areas of the Volta region.
And I assure you, we will solve your education challenges and go beyond what we see today to a better place for Mepe, so that this will be to the credit of Togwe and every one of you, that in the midst of challenges, we came together. We're talking about vocational school. You never know.
Tonight, the story of the over 14,000 students who have been forced to put their education on hold after marauding floodwaters flushed them out of their homes and schools.
The whole SHS, which is being affected here, is Kizito, which is being used as the same level. Also because it is being taken over. In total, boys, we have 7,431, girls, 7,273.
Tonight, we'll hear details of a master plan by unionized teachers to return the affected students to the classroom. And anger in Mepe after the flood-backed South Town constituency has responded over a claim or a comment by the Sanitation Minister, Freda Pempe, blaming victims of the flood disaster.
Can the minister tell the nation which part of the Mepe traditional area the VRA and NADMO conducted the so-called simulation exercise before the spillage? Is the minister aware that over 1,000 displaced Ghanaian citizens are now relying on just 6 mobile toilets at St. Kizito? Is she informed that the remaining 6 safe havens in Mepe do not have any mobile toilets? And does she know that the displaced victims, including children and women, are exposed to mosquitoes and other dangerous reptiles every night.
All the reactions from a pair are on Eyewitness News tonight. Later on Point Blank, retired Justice William Atuguba scolds the Supreme Court of Ghana for his controversial decision that threw Judge Question out of Parliament. Stay with Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM for more on these and many more stories on the program tonight. Later in business,
Fitch Solutions project Ghana's agreement with Official Credit Committee over external debt to be concluded by end of 2023.
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa has all the top stories from the world of business coming up in 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe on citynewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 05499869996, 05499869996. You can connect with me via Twitter or X using the handle at Richard De La Sky. Send in your comments and we'll read them. Let's take off this evening, and Hawa will do us the honors.
The Minister for Education, Dr. Yawase Educhum, has reaffirmed his commitment to addressing the educational challenges faced by the flood-affected Mepe community in the Volta region. Many areas in the region have been severely affected by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, leading to a halt in formal education. During an engagement between education sector stakeholders and the Mepe Traditional Council, Dr. Osei Educhum stressed the importance of a collaborative approach to improve the situation for students and teachers in the hardest hit communities.
We've seen it firsthand. We've spoken with the people on the ground, those who are doing the coordination, the NADMO people here, regional directors of education, district chief executives, and then the regional minister, who is like the coordinator in chief. So we've gotten firsthand. And then we are grateful to have also gotten some insights from the Member of Parliament, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa. Sure. So together, I think we have a good idea of what we need to do beyond the relief that is being handled by NADMO. Yeah. We are looking at the education challenges and how we can provide some solution to our students and their parents.
Talking about educational challenges, these are students who are also going to sit for the BEC and WASI, and so others are enjoying their education, and these are being short-lived. So what is the immediate plan for these?
The immediate plan is to bring some normalcy to their lives. If you look at this school right here, you see students are learning.
Sure. Financial education.
Yes, they are learning. So what we need to do is to facilitate that process short term, so that they don't lose out. So now we're going to Accra, we're going to bring teaching and learning materials, bring in books and other things that they need, so that at least they can get some instruction going as we look at how we get them into their classrooms.
So experts have championed the heavy usage of adoption of e-learning and all that. So at this critical time, this could have been adopted. But even when you come here, the lights are not working. So this could have helped. But you
have to look at the last mile approach, which in this particular instance is getting them workbooks to work out of. And then begin to look at the opportunities for some radio education and other opportunities for distance. So this is where distance takes you to the old distance and not the new distance, which is the e-learning, because you may not have electricity to facilitate that. Once we create the learning opportunity, parents will come. I don't think there's any parent here who don't want to have their children at least learning, to take their mind off the tragedy. So I believe what we need to do is to begin to look at bringing the teaching and learning materials, and then the communication will step in.
Dr. Yawase Educhum is Minister for Education.
Okay, let's go on to the line and speak to his deputy, the Honorable John Ntim Fojo, who is on the line to speak to us about the specific details of what the minister has been talking about. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. So, in short, when are the students returning to the classroom? Do you know?
Thank you very much, Richard, and a good evening to you and your cherished listeners. I must say at the outset that our prayers are with all the affected persons who were displaced by the spillage on the Akosombo Dam. This morning, the Minister for Education, Dr. Osei Educhum, together with a team from the ministry and myself, the Education Committee leadership, we made a visit in the company of the regional minister for Volta, and also the Member of Parliament for North Tongue. We went to Mepe, we visited Bator, we visited some of the safe havens provided for the displaced victims, and then also visited the places where we are designated for learning for our students. As the minister made it clear, the intention for this fact-finding visit was to commiserate with the victims and also to ascertain to what extent education has been impacted and what steps can be taken to ensure that no child in that area or in all those districts that have been affected by the floods will be left behind, that no child is left behind, an opportunity is given for them to continue their learning. We also furthered our interactions with the teachers. Obviously, teachers were affected, and to also commend them for the yeoman's job they did right at the beginning of the flooding, the heroic roles they played in ensuring that the children were taken to safety and none drowned, and then the commitment we have even received from them for those who have been displaced, even their commitment, even still to act very professional and be there and available to deliver instruction and many other steps that will be taken into consideration and measures will put in place to ensure that learning continues.
So the question still stands. When are they returning to the classroom?
Some of the students are already studying. So for some areas, the schools are completely submerged. Some of the areas, the schools may be available, but even access to those schools have been cut off by the flood. And then we have situations where there are students or learners who have been taken to safe haven. And for those safe havens, arrangements have been made for them to learn. As a matter of fact, we interacted even with them whilst instruction was going on, learning was taking place. So instruction has not ceased for all the students. But for most students, their home schools have closed because it's not even considered safe to be able to take them to where their original schools will be located. And for those whose schools may have been submerged by the rains, we are making arrangements for them to have a place that is considered safe. We are making some pavilions. There are a number of designs that are not going to take a long time to put up so that we can take them to convenient places where learning can take place. So learning hasn't stopped for all, but for the extreme and those that were the hardest hit, whose schools were submerged and whose homes were cut off from their schools, school has halted for now until within the shortest possible time when the plans we are putting in place matures, and then we take them to those places. We have also mapped out certain structures. There are some schools that are even safe now. We need to put it up and ensure some TLMs are in, and then map out the closest to learners from that school who will be sheltered, who have been sheltered comfortably in safe havens, to find a way to get them to those close by schools. And so all these arrangements are being put in place, but it is not one size fits all, depending on the distance between an available space for schooling and then where we consider safe haven for them. And even for those who have been displaced, who are not currently in safe havens, to identify them and to map where will be suitable to shelter them for learning. So a lot of these assessments are going on, and we have short-term measures that we are putting in place. And so learning is ongoing for some. We went indeed with teaching and learning materials where we distributed to those that were available, and more comprehensive such TLMs are being mobilized to ensure that we are able to reach all the learners that are affected, over 14,909 within the North Tongue and the surrounding districts, and then the others in the other adjoining districts, all case by case identified to ensure that the learning losses that may be occasioned by this flooding and this disaster is mitigated to a large extent.
Okay, but let's still stay with the question of timeline. So you spoke about erecting pavilions, if I heard you correctly, to accommodate those whose schools are completely gone. Do you have specific timelines that you're working with so we know exactly when you are breaking ground and when you hope that these things would have been ready for students to go to the classroom and study?
Pavilions is one of the options. And under these emergency circumstances, you would consider as many viable options that also will save time. And so the fastest possible option will definitely be arrived at. We are in a hurry. We are in a hurry to ensure that the distress situation that our friends, our sons, our daughters, and our compatriots in the Volta region, parts of it, are facing, are turned around into a story that is not of despair, but a story that will tomorrow be remembered as a negative thing occasioning a positive turnaround. So we are with our people in such times, and education is one area when such disasters occur. Usually education is the hardest hit, and therefore we are minded about that. And the minister is so focused and poised in ensuring that education does not suffer in these times.
That's commendable. Now, let's deal with the question of some proposals that have come in. Some have said that perhaps the way to deal with this matter is to simply relocate many of the affected students to, say, boarding houses in other schools, in other districts, if it's possible, so that they can continue tuition. Another suggestion is that perhaps you should alter or modify the academic calendar as to accommodate the difficulties that the people of these constituencies or districts face presently. Which of them is a viable option to you in addition to what you are considering?
So at this moment, it will be very early to arrive at a specific option because you have a combination of options that may work for certain parts of the affected areas. And then there will be some decisions that would not also be prudent for certain parts of the affected area. So it's whatever comprehensive plan that we're going to put in place in the long term will be a combination of some of these options that we're considering. And of course, all these are very viable and tenable suggestions that we're taking all in good faith. And so at the end of the day, we have just returned to Accra. We are going to continue deliberations from our fact-finding, the reports we obtained, all the assessments that had been done, which is still ongoing, and even what we had also gone to assess firsthand. We'll put all these, and then considering all the brilliant ideas you have also suggested and other stakeholders have suggested, we will arrive at something very workable and appropriate to ensure that the losses, the learning losses that may be occasioned is mitigated to a large extent. Whatever custom-made approach possible within the shortest possible time that will ensure that learning environments are created for affected learners, that is what our focus is on.
John Ntimfojio, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much for making it to the Volta region to assess the extent of damage and impact on schools and education, for that matter, for yourself. The Honourable Deputy Minister responsible for education, John Ntimfojio, there on the line. 97.3 Citi FM is the station. This is Eyewitness News. Still ahead, anger in Mepe in the flood-battered Southern constituency in the Volta region after Sanitation Minister Frida Prempe's victim-blaming diatribe. When we return, we have some comments coming in and more.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman Omani. Chairman. Hey, Chairman!
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Technology is shaping the workforce of the future. Are you job market ready? Looking for a career change or want to get into the tech space? The place to start is with ALX. ALX, an Africa Leadership Group initiative in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, is developing a talent pool within the technology sector. ALX offers courses in software engineering, AWS cloud computing, data analytics, and Salesforce administration. This is an opportunity to learn in-demand skills in a changing job market. ALX provides added value in training programs, mentorships, and networking. Apply now and get started on your dream career. Visit www.alxafrica.com to register before the deadline of 12 September 2023.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News. Let's go on to the line and speak to Thomas Musa, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, as to what they believe should be the master plan for containing the crisis facing the 14,000 or so students in the Volta region, MEPE to be specific, who are having to put their education on hold until further notice. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. So what is your proposal as to how we can immediately address the specific needs of these 14,000 or so students who are having to leave their classrooms because of the flooding in the Southern constituency?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to yourself and to all your listeners. I believe we've been here before, but not to this extent. I remember during the time of COVID, we have to deploy our teachers to handle the GHS3 students to enable them write the exams. And that has to do that based upon the UNICEF principles of deploying or handling issues in matters like this in times of emergency. We call education in times of emergency. This education can no longer wait. Today, I was at MEPE, and there are a few things that we need to look at. Number one, I went specifically to St. Kizito. I boarded a boat from MEPE to St. Kizito Secondary School. I went to some of the schools there, and I went to St. Kizito Secondary School. And I realized that they've been able to gather some of the students, at least those in KG and Class 1, about 61 of them. And I went to the school itself. I also saw that they've gathered the same number, about 60 to 65 of them. And they were being given some tuition, among other things. You see, once this thing has started, because education cannot wait in times of emergency, number one, we need to deploy or intensify this kind of intervention across all the areas where these things have happened. Then to enable us deploy the teachers, we did it some time ago, but the kind of compensation that must go to the teachers never went. At the end of the day, the government was dragging it. That was during the time of COVID. You see, and this time around, if you want to deploy the same methodology or the same approach of telling the teachers to go, but the teachers would then ask us during the COVID, we came to us, we were deployed, we got the work done, the students, we taught them, even in the midst of COVID, some got it and many other challenges. The compensation promise never came. So this time around, once the students have gathered in some of the communities, at least I saw two gathering or two groupings of the students, the children, and I think it's a good thing. That the main question now is how to deploy the teachers, because I went to one of the schools where the head teacher of the school is sleeping in one of the rooms with 8 people. In fact, they have the head teacher's office. There are 2 rooms there, and I asked him how many people sleep in that room, and even the media houses were there, and they confirmed to us that there were 18 sleeping in that particular room. So if you have 18 people sleeping in one room and you want to deploy them, it will come with so much difficulty, because almost everything that they have is gone down. The things are gone down the drain. And so this particular time, it is important that what happened during the COVID time never repeat itself, promise and fail. So the ministry and the director general. So as a matter of importance, I hope today, since today is Tuesday, by the close of this week, call for emergency meeting, sit down with the other teacher unions. We need to discuss as to how we can deploy an immediate intervention to arrest the situation, get the tuition going, but it may not come like happened during the time of COVID. So these are the things we are looking at. And when we went there, let me mention this thing quickly. We gave them an amount of 150,000 Ghana cedis because we gave it to our regional leaders to see how best they will be able to help teachers who are in difficulty. We gave 100,000, and the teachers fund gave them an amount of 50,000 Ghana cedis, making it 150,000 Ghana cedis.
And this is to support relief efforts or to support teachers?
Yes, specifically for the teachers. You know, it is part of the plan, like I told you. Look, some of the teachers we met there told us that they were outside when they heard about the thing. So by the time they got to Mepe, everything that they had gone down the drain, and they could not go back because they were told that, look, when they go, anything can happen to them. At least once you have life, you have anything that you'll be able to work for, anything that you think you can work for. So why not? If the things are in the water now, better think about your life first. Later on, the rest of the things will be taken care of by Easter. So they could not go there again. So the dresses that some of them put on when they were in town, when the spillage got to that particular place, they were not allowed to go back. And so they are all now at the safe havens that have been created. So we felt that we needed to give her that particular amount of money to our regional leaders to see how best they will begin to at least assist them as we prepare to deploy them. And also the Ministry of Education will have to sit down with us, see what they can do for them so that we get the work going, so that the students will not suffer, or teaching and learning will not suffer in this time of challenges and difficulties.
So before I let you go, you suggested that during the COVID era, you were promised some remuneration and those payments were not made. And you don't want that repeated this time around. Am I to understand that you are deploying on the basis of some promise you would have to receive and a commitment to pay?
No, you see, during the COVID time, there were other professionals that received some kind of compensation because it's between life and death. And so we went as far as to the presidency. We engaged and we said, okay, we will go back and speak to our people. And we told them that, looking at the death rate and the dangers involved, let us start with the JHS3 because they have to write so that the vacancy in the SHS1, the SHS3 people, the JHS3 people can easily go to SHS1, and the final year students in the SHS can also go to the university, so that there will be no any vacancy or any gap that will be created at any of our educational levels. And we got it done. And there were promises that, look, you let the teachers go, whatever we can do to help them, we'll get it done. And look, since that particular time to date, I can tell you, if you go to the secondary schools, particularly one of the issues that came up was the discussion on the double track system. As I speak, the double track, the teachers are teaching 24/7 throughout the year, also teaching from January to February, non-stop, because we have moved away from the regular trimester to now to semester. And because we are doing the double track, as one track is going home, another track is coming. Go to the secondary schools and see how the teachers are suffering. What kind of compensation are we giving them since COVID struck us in 2020 to now? Almost about 2-3 years down the line. We are committed and we got it done. So as the teachers are committed and they are doing this thing at the perils of their life, we believe that the kind of negotiations we normally have with them and agreement that we normally agree before these things are done, they must keep their side of the bargain so that our members will trust us that, look, this time round, what happened in those days and with the suffering is still going on will not repeat or will not occur. So these are the things we are talking about. And we believe that once we get to the table and we are discussing such matters about how to deploy them, the challenges and all the things that they have lost, and now they can put their body, soul, and spirit together to get these things going, we all need to get it done because education cannot wait in times of emergency. Okay. And remember, if we don't get it done now, we end up creating a class society. And also remember that the children, where they are, some will go into child labor, then there'll be teenage pregnancies and other social vices that we might not be able to contain. So the earlier we get it there now, the better for all of us.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Thomas Musa, General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. We appreciate your time. Let me go back onto the line and speak to Kojo Maulenu Fabian, who is the chairman responsible for the MEPE Development Association in the South Tongue, the North Tongue, I should say, constituency of the Volta region. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, you are not happy with the minister responsible for sanitation and water resources. Explain your difficulties to us, sir.
Yes, so good evening to all the cherished listeners of Citi FM Citi Group. And let me quickly just use this opportunity to extend our gratitude to your network and all and sundry that will be reaching out to help all of us, not just the traditional area, nor only North Tongue, but the entire community that have been engulfed with this man-made disaster. Now, specific question. The issue is very simple. It appears the minister is not well briefed, so we put our case straightforward. We are not happy about many things that she put up, but we were very humble to just address very basic ones. One, if she is truly the Minister of Environment and Sanitation, probably I'm not properly informed.
It's actually sanitation, water resources.
Sanitation, okay, fine. I will limit myself to sanitation. Has her ministry, her deputy department agency have been on the ground? I'll only put it on a question form. If no, then probably she's getting an information from somewhere that is probably not accurate. If yes, then we are ready to put a few issues. One, for sanitation and environment, I can tell you on authority that with all the safe havens, it's only St. Kizito that can boast of 6 mobile toilet facility, taking care of 1,320 people. What it means is that about over 220 people have to share 1 cubic of that mobile toilet. One difficulty is that our indigents are not properly educated on even this mobile toilet facility. That's one. But just let's simplify it. Can we just imagine a basic 3-bedroom facility? How many toilets is in that facility? And for us to put over 220 people to share 1 unit of a mobile toilet, that's my question to the environment minister. Secondly,
sanitation.
Sanitation, thank you so much. I'm grateful. Sanitation. Now, secondly, send your team. Your team was on the ground. Have your team found out or seen any litter bin around? And are we to provide those things ourselves? For safe haven even right now, I'm not sure we can count even a single litter bin. Like this Zoom Lion, big one that will just dump things and then trucks will come and pick them up. Prior to this very moment, we are very decent and clean environment. We never complain about how we keep our environment clean. America is one of the cleanest environment. So she should be engaging all of us. What is the nature or logistics that this ministry has provided for us? Now, our indication also was that what we actually followed through her news portal via video or Facebook, that we're told since January to evacuate or move to a particular location. First of all, where? Assuming she's giving us an indication as to where.
But the records reflect that indeed there was a GNA publication that suggested that there was a simulation exercise, at which exercise you were told, or at least the people who participated were told that you should do A, B, C, and D in the event of a spillage.
Okay, given that without admitting, they should present the records. Who were at those programs or seminars or meetings? I speak on authority as chairman of Memphis Development Association. I was never there. We provided a note for the editors of various media houses. The institution of Memphis Development Association is as strong and solid as Memphis National Authority or Council. Were never involved. In fact, every single organization of Memphis National area, as in festivals, Easter congresses, mini debates, it has to do with Memphis Development Association. And from the National Assembly to whatever level, they are aware of this. My office, my colleagues were never involved or informed in any way. They should provide those details to you. We are ready to meet these institutions at any level. They should have records to that.
Okay, that having been set aside, let's now talk about what the solution should be going forward. You spoke about so many people using a small cubicle of a toilet in that particular part of the country. What should immediately be done in order to improve the sanitation situation in your constituency?
Simple. NADMO, in fact, the 1,320,000 that mentioned for St. Kizito alone, I was even using NADMO data, not as the rural community, because our data is different. We'll send it out sooner than later in a few days' time. Now, at least they should be able to do a very basic arithmetic that on average, 1,320 people, how many units of such mobile toilets are we supposed to provide? Do we provide a number that at least barest minimum, in worst case, 50 people to 1 unit? I'm sure that simple arrangement would have given them the numbers. Now, they provided 7 heavens. In fact, look, heaven is just heaven. Heaven doesn't need any description. All other so-called heavens have no such facility as a mobile toilet, not even a polyton to provide a basic water. So they have the numbers. Let's go in with their data. The numbers they have there. They should be able to provide those mobile toilets. On average, how many people will be assigned to what? A unit. Can you imagine, even in morning, where maybe public toilets are being used? Assuming 220 people will queue for one. Can you imagine, from morning to evening, it probably will not be served. So I don't need to do those arithmetic for them. They should be doing it. Is their data we are even using? We have not even gotten to our data yet. So let's go on their data. They should just do those simple issues and then we are able to go.
Okay. Finally, we have also picked up information that a lot of your people are engaging in open defecation because of the crisis that we are all dealing with. Is that the case? And what do you have to tell them in view of the fact that there are risks associated with using the bushes for purposes of emptying one's bowels?
Richard, thank you so much for this very important question. Even when mobile toilets were not provided, if you ever step there, if a mobile toilet was provided on Saturday, so check the number of days prior to today, you can count it. If you ever step there, I'm not sure, your team was on the ground. I'm not sure you smell anything. So we provided, or even we managed to use the manual one. I don't want to say it on air because we are not in normal time. We provide some makeshift one and normal ones that they were managing. Any other thing they're talking about, we are not, quote and unquote, people who will litter their own environment and want to live in the same environment.
Very well. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. But let me just quickly tell you that I have pulled up stories that actually confirm, as I told you earlier, that there were exercises done by the VRA as part of their efforts to educate people on what to do in the event of spillage of the Akosombo Dam. And those stories are online. For example, there's one here that says, it's actually by Business Ghana, which says the VRA NADBO begins simulation exercise for Akosombo and Pond Hydro Power Dams Emergency Plan. And this was published on the 11th of May 2023. Two paragraphs of that story. The Volta River Authority and the National Disaster Management Organization has begun a simulation exercise for the Emergency Preparedness Plan for the Akosombo and Pond Hydropower dams. The exercise has to enhance the preparedness, or was to enhance the preparedness of the state agencies to respond to emergencies arising from the release of significant amounts of water from the Akosombo and Pond dams. And he mentions the Nortong district as part of the districts that took part in the exercise. So thank you so much for that. Appear to suggest that she was victim blaming. Meanwhile, there is a post that has been put up by the minister responsible, not a minister, the member of parliament for the North Tong constituency, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, on his X page, and he says,
no, if you see the change in the state of affairs as we saw it there, as in where they sleep, it has not changed. They still sleep in the classrooms of the Tokpo RC Basic School, which school has windows that have no curtains and no mosquito nets. So that is a situation. It means that they still are sleeping in the same deplorable conditions. I walked through some of their rooms that they sleep in. They sleep on the floor. We provided them mattresses when we went on Thursday, but that's not enough for all the people who were there. So a few people. I saw an old man who was sleeping in one of the rooms. It is still not a good sight, but the relief items we sent, for instance, my first report, I said that we saw only one cooking pot being shared amongst families. This time around, and number one.
Yes. What's the situation there in Topo?
So the school officials have given their washrooms to the people to use. So that's what they are using. But it is a lot of pressure because this is the headmaster's bungalow, which headmaster's bungalow is supposed to have just a washroom for his family and people who live with him. But now you have over 100 people who are using that. So yes, the issue of washroom, they have not engaged in open defecation to the best of my knowledge and to what I have been told, but they would use a lot more toilet facilities and even bathroom facilities, because I've seen a few of the children bathing outside. So that is something that if they got solution, they could use that.
And quickly on education, one of the things we dealt with this evening. What's the situation with education?
It is still the same problem that it was. The school essentially is running a shift system where these, should I use them, call them squatters or invaders, are using the school premises. The school children have to stay home because you can't have the two together. The headmaster had insisted that only the junior high schools, secondary schools, as in junior high 3, JSS 3 students should be in school. So yes, they would come to school in the morning and close in the afternoon. Every other class is absent, and they have to continue to be absent until a solution is found. And that is why I kept saying that we should start thinking of shelter for these people, because the classrooms have now become bedrooms that are containing belongings, containing mattresses, containing cooking utensils and all of this. Their school park has now been turned into playground for the idle boys in the community who have nothing really to do. And so they are playing football. Schooling activity or education cannot really coexist with this particular system that we are seeing. The water supply in the school is now being shared and used by these people. The budget is going to go high. Who's going to take care of that budget? These are matters that we have to, and it is not exclusive to Tokpo. It is the same thing I saw in Azizanya. It's the same thing that I believe is happening in Mepe and all these places. The schools now have to be abandoned by the school children for the schools to be occupied by the people who have been displaced. That is a big, big, big blow to education in the community where they are settling. And it's also a problem for the children that they traveled with. Because don't forget, from what I heard from the voice clip, the impression I got was that he has come to assess the situation and will return to bring them relief. But if he's already brought relief and is going to bring more, then that is commendable. But Mepe is not the only place, and I need to say it now to all the duty bearers and all the people who want to go. Mepe is not the only place. Mepe is affected. It's a big deal. But Mepe isn't the only problem. Tokpo, where we went to, is a problem. In fact, even before Tokpo, I'd seen another relief
and as usual of their character, engaging in blame-shifting cultivation, whereas the plight of the people keep deteriorating. Citi FM, thank you so much for your humanitarian assistance. God bless you guys. And he adds that Ghanaians are not angry enough. Lottie Jones from Assume Rights, did they provide safe havens when they gave these warnings? They should spare us.
I'm afraid. Media Sambisanda Moa. It's your not your move upon it. We fit no more put on Pemo Maniacono. Eh, Quabna. Eh, no more wants me to be just my in that day. Eh, and the crew. Complete to me, no good on Pimus, so you super accident eba. I didn't know by the Braille. Who see it in a mobile now? Some man are wanting it. Sir, I need could you soon use super accident Chaco. Then the a mouse who you could fit of that. No, what you ask you, my mother feel you. Hey, Kojo, sir. Yeah. Pepsodent Eba and a Pepsodent Chaco. A baby, you're gonna natural.
FTIJ Jadian Katuyatu.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook and Instagram at instagram.com/city973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News. Let's take one additional story. The Ghana Traditional Council has announced that on Saturday, the 28th day of October 2023, all commercial activities within the Greater Accra region will be suspended as a mark of solemn respect and final farewell to the late Gamanye, Na Dede Umaidru III. Now, this announcement was made during a press conference in Accra to outline the funeral arrangements for the late Galote, has urged the public to adhere strictly to the directive as issued at today's press conference. Well, commercial activity. What are the specific details of these restrictions, and where are we expecting them to be enforced?
Well, let me first thank you and also thank your listeners who are hearing this interview. First, let me say that I think we should not hype this question of restrictions too much. In normal times and in many, many traditional areas, these things go for about 2 weeks. The Ghana Traditional Council has considered benefits and has reduced this thing to only 1 day, considering a lot of factors. That this is the national capital and its location may not be so proportionate with other places. So I think restricting it to 1 day should not become a big issue, which is being harped upon as if it is a novelty in our culture and tradition. And I think all that we are saying is that the day of the funeral, when the Queen Mother will be laid to rest, should become the day on which we show community, on which we show some quietness in the town or in the city, and a day where we want to pay homage and last, it shouldn't be such a big fuss. And let me also say that we are not imposing restrictions to include those who provide emergency service. So I think residents should bear with us and allow our culture also to prevail.
I understand that, but what are the specific details of the nature of the restrictions? Is it that people should not go to their shops to sell?
Commercial shops should not be operating. They should be closed. And we are saying that you cannot have loud processions or parties or things like that in town. Things should be on the low key. And generally, we would like to see the town draped with red and black as a sign of mourning and royal farewell. These are the main characteristics of the restriction.
Okay, now what is the punishment for violating the restrictions?
Both certain restrictions for good reason, and you go against it, the Asafo or the state warriors will look for you, and they will definitely serve you with someone, and you will have to appear before the traditional council at a later time. And when you appear before the council, and they hear your reasons for deciding to violate the restriction, then appropriate punishment will be meted out.
Okay, now let's talk about the specific areas to be, affected. Can you name the specific areas that the restrictions will be enforcing?
Every area covered by the is certainly within the jurisdiction of the GCC, the kingmakers and our traditional leaders who are imposing the restrictions. So I would say all areas covered by the Ghana Traditional Council, which will include the satellite communities they have in Ghana rural and other places.
Please, I mean, for someone who is a new visitor to Accra or who recently relocated his business to Accra, what areas are these? I mean, give us an idea. Are we talking about the entire Greater Accra region, or there is a specific, enclave known as the Ghana Traditional area?
Well, naturally, the Kamashi area covers 7 quarters of Accra. And these 7 quarters have also satellite communities, as I said, in various parts of the region. I'm talking about outlying areas like the road to Soham, the road to Central region, and so on and so forth. So all areas covered by the Greater Accra Traditional Authority will fall within the areas where restrictions will be imposed.
So to be clear, from Ada or from Tema down to, say, Kaswa areas, and from the southern part of, for instance, the Independence Square, right up to Nsawam, all those areas are covered. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, thank you so much, sir. And please do accept our condolences for the passing, over the passing of the late Queen Mother. Thank you so much for talking to us. Sylvester Parker Alute is the protocol committee chairman for the funeral of the late Queen Mother of the Ga traditional area. 97.3 Citi FM is the station. It's time for business, and Hawa is taking it away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Let's settle for details of our stories now. International rating agency Fitch Solutions is projecting that Ghana will reach an agreement with the official credit committee, including the Paris Club, by end of the year. The agency is anticipating that these two parties should be able to agree on some debt treatment parameters. Here is more.
In
its comprehensive analysis of frontier markets, Fitch noted that the agreement with the two external creditors will move Ghana away from its external debt position. Government is seeking to restructure $10.5 billion of its external debt. A successful restructuring is crucial for the country to secure the remaining installment of the $3 billion IMF loan facility. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has already disclosed that Ghana has secured assurances from both China and France regarding the Memorandum of Understanding for the restructuring of the country's external bilateral debt, with some 30 to 40% expected haircut on Eurobonds. Observers of the economy have emphasized the importance of the restructuring. It is on the back of this that Fitch is expecting the OCC and authorities to agree on the debt treatment parameters by end of 2023 before an agreement with private creditors on comparable terms is expected for mid-2024, paving the way for Ghana moving out of default.
That was a news desk report. The Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) has indicated that Muaheng Ghana Limited, the manufacturer of Seoul Cement, will remain closed until they clear all or part of the 700 million cedi debt owed the authority. The GRA on Monday shut down the Chinese cement manufacturing firm due to its failure to fulfill its tax obligations. In response to the situation, the company issued a press statement acknowledging its tax arrears to the GRA and pledged to resolve the issue diligently and promptly. Joseph Annan is the GRA's Assistant Commissioner in charge of Accra Central Enforcement Area, and he has been reacting to the statement by Seoul Cement.
So we are not too much in a hurry to take these enforcement actions. We exhausted all the internal processes, served all the notices that are due to be served before we took the enforcement action. So once they have accepted and agreed to settle the debts, we are okay with it. Once they do it, they live by their promise. We will surely open the place up for them. Because after all, it is Ghanaians that they have employed. And we are not too happy with some of the enforcement actions we take. But it's backed by law. And once that is the only way out of the situation, we will have to enforce. We will have to be sure that payments are made. Or if there's any agreement to settle it over a period of time, at least some good commitment must be made. That is, even if we agree to their payment plan. Because, of course, their payment must be significant. We are talking of about over 700 million Ghana cedis. So some good payments must be made, even if not all. A substantial one must be made. Then maybe the management can consider any arranged agreement.
Joseph Annan is the GRA's Assistant Commissioner in charge of Accra Central Enforcement. The Ministry of Trade and Industry is urging companies to align their operations with the new National Quality Policy and the Ghana Standards Authority Act of 2022. According to the ministry, this move is crucial to ensure that consumers are not subjected to subpar products or services. In a speech delivered on behalf of the sector minister, the Director of Industrial Parks at the ministry, Dr. John Hawkins Esiedu, underscored the importance of this alignment to spur economic growth.
Ghana's economy has relied heavily on the export of primary agricultural produce and unrefined minerals. This historical narrative is what we are changing under the government of the new Patriotic Party, led by His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, through a deliberate policy of industrialization anchored on value addition. In this regard, we are very keen to deliver the overall objective of the quality policy, which is to provide a concise and coherent framework for regulatory and institutional reforms to ensure that goods and services emanating from or traded in Ghana meet the expectations of consumers and requirements of regulators in the local and export market. I would like to take this opportunity to express government's profound gratitude to the various development partners who have supported the Ghana Standards Authority and the ministry in commencing the implementation of the National Quality Policy to date. They notably include the World Bank Group, Under the Ghana Economic Projects, Transformative Project.
Dr. John Hawkins Asiedu is Director of Industrial Parks at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center GIPC is emphasizing the critical need for all stakeholders in the African business landscape to intensify their efforts in enhancing intra-African trade. This initiative, GIPC explains, will unlock the continent's potential for economic growth. Speaking at the opening of the Ghana Investment and Trade Week Summit, organized by GIPC in collaboration with MIA Group, Yofi Grant, the CEO of GIPC, urged business leaders to capitalize on the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area to attract more investments.
Indeed, we all do recognize the importance of AFCFTA. And for those who probably haven't had a real intimate understanding of it, the AFCFTA is the largest tariff-free market in the world today, post the WTO. And as we speak, some 43 countries have ratified an agreement that was agreed by 55 countries of Africa. Now, what that does is that it creates a significant marketplace. Currently, under the AFCFTA, we have a market of approximately 1.4 billion people and a combined GDP of some 3.4 trillion. But having said that, it's also a very interesting but complicated market. In the 55 countries in Africa of various levels of development, intra-Africa trade has only achieved not more than 15% annually. That means we don't trade with ourselves as African countries. And even less is intra-Africa investment, which is less than 5%. But most of it coming from either the North Africa or real South Africa. In between, we do not invest. But the AFCFTA, without a doubt, creates a very important but enormous opportunity to change those dynamics.
That was the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant. Now, Guinness Ghana has expressed its commitment to make a positive impact on local communities in the country by sourcing raw materials locally. This commitment was highlighted during the launch of the company's report on local raw material sourcing, which took place in Accra to evaluate its contributions and impact. Speaking with Citi Business News during the launch, the Corporate Relations Director of Guinness Ghana, Sylvia Wusu-Ankoma, emphasized the effect of sourcing on farming communities.
We started sourcing local raw materials from 12%, and today we've increased that to over 63%. But more importantly, the community value and the livelihoods impacted has really significantly improved. In the last study in 2019, we saw that we had over 30,000 smallholder farmers whose livelihoods had been touched, with a ripple effect of over 250,000 people, dependents within their community, equally benefiting from our local raw material sourcing. Today, the study has unveiled that that number from 2019, 30,000, we're now in the regions of, over 30,000 for the farmers, and for local impact, over 377,000 communities and individuals within those communities have had their lives touched because we're buying our raw materials for the production of our brewery locally.
Sylvia Owusu-Ankoma is the Corporate Relations Director at Guinness Ghana. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Back to Eyewitness News, and this is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Tonight on Point Blank, retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice William Atuguba, has delivered a public lecture, The Role of the Judiciary at the Kofi Dra Conference Center at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, which lecture was organized by Solidaire Ghana in collaboration with the University of Ghana. During the lecture, he took on the Supreme Court, his former colleagues, criticizing them for their decision, the controversial decision that ousted Jachi Kwesen from Parliament. Tonight on Point Blank, we'll bring you excerpts of that lecture.
Of the editor, the above practice direction issued by His Lordship, the Honorable Acting Chief Justice, is to be most welcomed by all members of the bench and bar and the general public, and it may also be considered as very appropriate and long overdue. The practice direction in the form of a letter to all the justices of the Supreme Court makes the empaneling of the Supreme Court for the determination of the constitutional cases more transparent, and more importantly, the direction is in line with the democratic aspirations of all Ghanaians and the sustenance of the rule of law in the country. It has also the obvious merit of insulating and freeing the high office of Chief Justice from all imaginary and unproven but disturbing allegations of political bias in the empaneling of the justices of the Supreme Court. Unquote. Now I pause to make this comment that if you have a court that is not independent and honest and principled, this type of directive is not going to solve anything. Empanel a whole lot of politically inclined justice. What will be the effect? Nothing. Anyway, it was not yet like that at our time. This criticism, as noted at pages 48 to 49 of Dr. Date Ban's formidable book, Reflections on the Supreme Court of Ghana, has persisted under the current Chief Justice. He thereat states as follows. I'm quoting from Date Ban. That time, it was not this Chief Justice. One was at his time. Quote, the Chief Justice's power to empanel judges confers on him or her arguably the opportunity or potential to influence the outcome of particular cases. The Chief Justice's knowledge of an individual judge's track record on particular issues or his or her judicial inclinations on particular issues may give the Chief Justice this potential. This, rightly or wrongly, has attracted unfavorable comment from people in political circles in relation to politically controversial decisions. It is in reaction to such comments that Chief Justice Georgina Wood decided that she would, during her tenure, empanel as a matter of practice a bench of 9 justices to hear all constitutional cases. So that's why 2013 found me on a panel of 9 election petition.
On this current practice, the Constitution Review Commission commented that it finds in regard to Ghana's judicial practice that no law has ever prescribed the maximum number of justices of the Supreme Court that should sit on a case brought before the court, though it has been the practice to specify the quorum. It has noted that this is a deliberate policy on the part of the lawmakers to allow the highest courts a certain flexibility and freedom in deciding when to field a full complement of members, depending on the gravity of the case and the need for a reconsideration of the law. It acknowledges that this practice has helped ensure that in the adjudication of matters of importance, as many judicial minds as possible would be involved in settling the law and making a definitive pronouncement. In this regard, the Commission commends the emerging practice by which 9 justices of the Supreme Court are empaneled to sit on constitutional cases, unquote. The legal colossus, Dr. Dateba JSC, retired at page 201 of his third book, has further observed as follows, quote, a perception and conviction by the public of the Supreme Court's impartiality between parties in its adjudication is vital to its fulfillment of its broader role. Nevertheless, there has in recent years been a degree of controversy in the media as to the impartiality of the judiciary in general in disputes between the government, by which is meant the executive, and the individual. This has been a challenge to the Supreme Court, along with other courts. This has had, other courts have had to live with. The challenge has arisen from the highly competitive nature of Ghanaian party politics in the last decade and the perceived tendency for a party in government to prosecute politicians belonging to the opposition. The court has been caught in the middle of this conflict, and in their endeavor to do justice between parties before them, have incurred the wrath of political party activists of the governing party who have alleged that the judiciary is biased against the government. The best response to this challenge is for the conduct of the judiciary to manifest its indubitable impartiality. I'll repeat that. The best response to this challenge is for the conduct of the judiciary to manifest its indubitable impartiality. Now, pausing here, you cannot have a politically slanted judiciary able to exhibit indubitable impartiality. What is not there is not there. Simple as that. On the other hand, Dr. Dateba JSC, retired in his aforementioned book, states at pages 211 to 212 regarding this matter thus: the mode of appointment of justices of the Supreme Court is specified by Article 144 of the 1992 Constitution. It provides for the appointment by the President acting on the advice of the Judicial Council in consultation with the Council of State and with approval of Parliament. Thus, both the executive and the legislature are involved in the process. The intention of the framers of the Constitution, as confirmed by practice, appears to be that nominations should be made by the Judicial Council, although the appointment is by the President. The names of nominees recommended by the Judicial Council are forwarded to the President, who places them before the Council of State for their views. If the views of the Council of State are not negative, the President then forwards the names to the Speaker of Parliament for parliamentary vetting. It should be noted, however, that presidents in the Fourth Republic have not considered themselves bound by the advice of the Judicial Council in relation to nominations for appointment to the Supreme Court. Presidents have on occasion refused to accept some nominees recommended by the Judicial Council. Under a constitution on the Westminster model, such as that in force in Ghana between 1957 and 1960, the Governor General was obliged to follow the advice given him on judicial appointments. However, this convention and understanding have not survived into the Republican era. Ordinarily, presidents tend to accept the nomination of the Judicial Council, as it has to be remembered the Attorney General, the President's principal legal advisor, and 4 nominees of the President serve on the Judicial Council. The President thus has ample opportunity to influence the nominations by the Judicial Council. Furthermore, because the constitutional provision requires Parliament's prior approval, Parliament has a veto power over the appointment of any Supreme Court justice. I'm pausing here a little. You want a judiciary to be free. Apart from the Attorney General, who is appointed as a political minister by the President has 4 other nominees on the Judicial Council to ensure what? Impartiality. Judicial compromise of independence. Sometimes the judiciary gives the impression that it is giving an undue advantage to the executive. The National Media Commission versus Attorney General 2000 Supreme Court Ghana Law Report 1 was on that panel. The National Media Commission complained to the Attorney General that the President was usurping their clear authority under Article 168 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, quote, to appoint the chairman and other members of the governing bodies of public corporations managing the state-owned media in consultation with the President, unquote. When it was unheeded, it sued the Attorney General in the Supreme Court for a declaration in January 1996. However, it was not until November 1999 that the suit was listed for hearing, and judgment was given in favor of the plaintiff on 26 January 2000, by which date the then President Rawlings had left office after 2 presidential terms of office. Now, what was the problem in listing a constitutional case? 1996, 1999. Why? Meanwhile, the President, who was not the authority, was appointing these people to manage the state-owned media. These things. Okay. Trend has continued in very recent times. Thus, in Ghana Center for Democratic Development and 8 others versus Attorney General, as Amegache JSC delivering the judgment of the Supreme Court stated, judgment was delivered in this case on the 21st May 2023, long after Mr. Domelevo had been pushed out of office. Coincidentally, it was on the same day that the Supreme Court also delivered judgment in the case of Professor Kwejo Apiaje Etua, a northern background, okay, and 7 others, and the Attorney General. In this case, the plaintiffs challenged the constitutionality of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012, which was enacted in consequence of the deadly coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Thank God that is passed. But the developed countries are saying a more serious one will come. They are not God, anyway. It can unhappily be said that the Supreme Court acted unconstitutionally and in bad faith when it inordinately delayed in adjudicating the National Media Commission and Attorney General. As on that panel, as I said, but don't blame me. I was not in charge of listing. When it was listed 3 years later, we promptly, it was in November, we decided it within a month or so. Still, the blame comes from the judiciary. As well as the Dominivo and COVID-19 cases for short. This is because, okay, let me explain this better. I'm saying that it can be said that the Supreme Court sometimes has acted unconstitutionally and in bad faith. And I'm referring to National Media Commission and Attorney General, as well as the Dominivo and COVID-19 cases. I've told you about the national media. The case of Dominivo, I've told you, judgment came long after the man had left. And the COVID-19, those impositions have had their thorough effects. The COVID-19 itself has passed. Now judgment has come saying that they were unconstitutional. This is because it is the constitutional duty of the Supreme Court to enforce the Constitution forthwith when it is breached. That is the mandatory duty under Article 2.1 of the Constitution. Thus, in Guedima versus Awana Williams 2G and G 739, second edition 1167 at 1175, Zukrab J.A., as it then was said, quote, the fifth of the plaintiff's claim as expressed in paragraph 8 of his statement of claim is that on 5th September 1969, the defendant took his seat as member of the National Assembly, notwithstanding the fact that he was not qualified so to do by virtue of Article 71, Clause 2B2 and D of the Constitution, and that the defendant intends to continue to sit in the said National Assembly. If the matter rests here, then prima facie, there has been an infringement of the Constitution and an alleged threat to continue such infringement. This would constitute a mischief, and it would become the inescapable duty of the Supreme Court to suppress it by enforcing the Constitution. Those days, our judges would speak, unquote. In the National Media Commission, Dominivo and COVID-19 cases, the Supreme Court failed to suppress the mischiefs of the infringements of the Constitution for an inordinate period of time. Of course, as I said earlier, the delay can come from the panel or its listing for hearing. We all know who can direct listing of cases in the Supreme Court. The entertainment and determination of the James Jachi Kweson's case as Michael and Command Nympha versus James Jachi Kweson and two others, writ number J1-1122, 17th May 2023 by the Supreme Court, is quite unfortunate, though the court, in my humble view, was misled by the earlier decision of the Supreme Court in Sumaila Bill number 1 and Ramani and another 2011, 1 Supreme Court Ghana Law Report 132. Even there, the Bill case was not, unlike the Jachi Kweson case, determined on its merits by the High Court and the Court of Appeal. However, the determinative consideration is that the Constitution has clearly assigned post-parliamentary election matters to the High Court under Article 99 and post-presidential election matters to the Supreme Court. These provisions are specific, while the provisions of Articles Articles 2 and 130 are general and therefore verba generalia, specialibus non derogant. This is particularly, well, I think this general words cannot override or derogate from special words. These provisions, okay. This is particularly so since in parliamentary elections for Woodlands constituency, Zakaria versus Makan, 2003 to 2004, one Supreme Court Ghana Law Report 1 has decided, though I disagree with it, that post-parliamentary